Hey everyone, my name is Yasmine and I am a communications assistant with the SSC. Today I'm just going to be talking about in-person exams, basically my experience, what it's going to look like this year, and why you shouldn't really stress out. You can sort of tell when exam season is on its way because it seems as if there's this type of nervousness that sets in all around campus. If anything, I feel like it's even more obvious this year because for a lot of people, it's the first time they're writing an in-person exam. Now, while that may seem daunting, I promise it's not as terrible as some of you may think. Frankly, I think the most stressful part about taking an in-person final is sort of the build-up to it rather than the test itself. I think the first in-person exam that I ever took was for our first year chemistry course, which I know is not the best way to start off, but it did teach me some good lessons straight off the bat. Chemistry wasn't really one of my best courses at the time, or ever really, so I was incredibly nervous about this one. I think the first thing you should keep in mind when heading into an exam like this is to remember that it won't be the end of everything. In the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big of a deal, or as big of a deal as it might seem in the moment. Now, that's not to say to not study at all, but, you know, cut yourself some slack and try to take it as easy as you can. I think another important thing to know is your limits. I remember cramming a lot of info last minute just to say that I covered it, but unfortunately this type of quick studying didn't really help me out because none of that info actually sunk in. So by the time I actually headed into the exam, I just about forgot most of it. To be honest, looking back, I feel like it would have been better for me to just have rested and relaxed rather than stressed out like that. It's better to loosen up and just digest the information that you already know rather than panic and risk losing that new information that you learned just because you're in a blur. That's why I think it's always a good idea to take at least a few hours or maybe even a day before an exam just to relax and really let that info sink in. Creating an exam plan or schedule is also a good way to avoid cramming at the last minute and can help reduce some anxiety as well. As for the day of my chem final, I'm gonna be honest, I was freaking out way more about finding the location rather than the test itself. I was silly and I forgot to check where my exam was being held, and so I ended up the day of desperately texting my friends trying to figure it out. Basically, the lesson here is to not be like me. Make sure to check out the course syllabus or any other announcements regarding your final beforehand just so that you don't have this issue and you can plan ahead for, you know, the location of the exam as well as the things that you have to bring because each course has its own requirements. Now that we're shifting back into a more in-person method of delivery, a lot of courses are going to be making their final exams in person as well. Usually professors will send out an announcement a few days before the exam just talking about its location, its time, and any other related information. Most of the time you're allowed to bring a pen, pencil, eraser, clear water bottle, and a calculator if needed. You're usually not allowed to bring a whole pencil case with you, so make sure you have everything you need in hand before finding a seat. Also, many classes require that you leave your bag behind, usually in the front of the class before you go to your seat, so just make sure that you have everything on you. In terms of actually finding a spot, professors will usually lay out the exams beforehand, so all you have to do is find a desk with an exam paper on it and an empty seat. If that's not the case, just find a seat that's at least one desk separated from someone else as it reduces the chance of cheating. At that point, all that's left is for you to take the test. It might be scary, but honestly, it'll be done before you know it and then you can actually relax. Final exams are never a fun thing to do, but you've made it this far and I'm sure you can finish off this semester strong as well. Just believe in yourself, stay calm, and study hard.